Good afternoon, lads and lassies. The Irish Demon here, back with another video. So this is the first video I've done properly on this channel for a little while, as I have been really working to get the other channel back up and running. So if you guys want to go support that channel, I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can go check that out. That channel is now called Irish Demon for the time being. I haven't really decided what way I want to go about it just yet. So anyway, this is a video that I initially thought I wouldn't make, something that I didn't think I would feel the need to, but I think it's about time that I kind of threw my hat in the ring in some respect, and not to give my thoughts on what's happened, but to make an appeal more than anything. In fact, to make a couple of appeals about this whole situation with Shawn Hufford and the money. So for anybody that's watching that's not familiar with what's going on, just to give a brief bit of background, I don't know the exact ins and outs of this whole thing. It doesn't really matter. Basically, Shawn Hufford was going through a hard time. He reached out to some creators in the community, some influential creators in the community, and asked for their help to raise funds for him so that he wouldn't get an eviction on his file and that it wouldn't go against him in the future. Now, all of you guys know, when somebody in this community is going through hard times, the community gets together, we reach out, and we help to try to make those things better for people. A few weeks ago, I had a bit of a medical incident myself, and the community reached out and helped me straight away. They had my back. People reached out in support, both, personally, financially, and a whole lot of other things, helped to promote my new channel and all that kind of stuff. So this community is awesome. I've seen it. We've done fundraisers on the Beardsman where we've raised, a couple of grand or whatever for different charities, where we've, asked for people to go out and support each other and all of that kind of thing. And I guess a message that's always been there in this community and among all of us creators is be good to each other, try to help each other. JL Warren says it at the end of his videos, to be, really nice to each other and look after each other. And that's something that's kind of tied this community together, and it's something that's kept me around because people do care about each other. So when Shawn reached out and asked for help, of course the community rallied around him and decided to help him out. Now, let me just talk about my personal situation with Shawn. I barely know the guy. I've seen him on a few live streams on FTFE or Team Skeptic over the past year or so, and that's about where that ends. I recall him being the guy with the bird. That's where my knowledge of this whole situation kind of began, essentially, was with that particular live stream. And, I know some questions were raised in the past and it wasn't a big deal for a while. But now we all know, since Team Skeptic's live stream the other night, where he felt that it was time to start calling this stuff out and finding out what happened with the money and to get to the bottom of it. Now, if I reached out to people and asked for money, I would expect them to have some kind of a right to know that that money was being appropriated properly. Now, it depends, of course, on the amount of money, and there's a few kind of factors in it. But once a question is raised about where a very substantial amount of money, and in this case, it was over $10,000, that is a lot of beans. And some particular individuals donated huge amounts of money to that cause. So when something like that comes up, it's kind of expected that you provide proof that that money is being used appropriately. But instead, all we received is just kind of nonsensical responses to requests for proof that that money was used properly. I had a look at some of the documents that were provided for me. I'm not going to comment on those, and I'll explain why. I spent a lot of time working in the courts, as you know, and a lot of that was spent working in residential tenancies court. I know how tricky residential tenancies can be because I've worked with them daily. I know how what you see on a court document doesn't necessarily reflect the rest of what's going on, and that some things are outside of court, etc., etc. So I'm not going to comment on that stuff. The simple fact of the matter is the community at large was told that this money was used to pay something, and that thing was for the rent so that it wouldn't end up as an eviction or whatever. Now, an eviction has been processed. I don't know the ins and outs of it. It doesn't matter. The issue here is that the community at large is asking for answers. The community at large gave you over $10,000. That is not by any stretch a small amount of money. People want answers as to where that money's gone. Now, when it comes to the other creators who are involved in promoting this and raising the funds, I'm not going to level a huge amount of blame at them. Nothing like that. Other people have done so. Other people have had their comments on it. And I'll leave it at that. I'll leave them, because I wasn't involved in this whole thing in any way. But I care about this community. I care about the people within it. So that's why I feel like I need to try to make an appeal as well. So I'm not going to level any blame at Team Skeptic. I'm not going to level any blame at FTFE. I'm not going to level any blame at Red's Rhetoric or anybody else who is involved in it. I would ask that they do the same thing and call out everybody, as some of them have in different ways. Now, I listened to Red's video the other day, and, you know, he made his response to it. That's fine. You know, if you haven't seen it, go see it. Make up your own mind about it. It's not for me to tell you what to think about his response or Team's response or anybody's response. This is my question. This is what I'm asking. I'm asking you, Shawn, to do the right thing. Go and get the documentation that's needed. It's not even necessarily a case that it needs to be put out there in public for everybody to see. If there's something on it that you're embarrassed about or whatever, it doesn't have to be a case where you post it on Twitter and everybody can go and read your personal private documentation. It could be as simple as send a copy of it to somebody trusted in the community. Someone like FTFE or Reds or Team or whoever, it doesn't matter. Just somebody who's trusted in the community enough that if they say to the community, I saw the document proving that this money was used properly, you guys have nothing to be concerned about. In my opinion, that is enough. The person I would probably recommend, not just because he's my friend, but because I know him to be an incredibly impartial creator, is Johnny O from The Plot Hole. You could get the documentation, show Johnny O, and I would say that the vast majority of people in this community would be prepared to respect and accept anything that Johnny O would say on that, you know, in that respect, to clear your name, because he is without a doubt the most honest person that I've come across. The way he conducts himself, the way he runs his channel. So that's who I would recommend. There might be other people out there too, like maybe Brainy Beaver, somebody who's not as deep in it as like FTFE, Reds and Team and a few others. So that's one way. Or me, you can send it to me and I'll do it. I'm happy to do this even though I'm not involved in it and I would have to kind of figure out a bit more of the background. I'd be happy to help to put this whole thing to bed. Not for you, not just for you, but for everybody. You don't only owe this to the people that gave you money. You owe it to the whole community, even those that didn't give money, because they're the people that now have to decide whether they're going to trust future fundraisers or not. Fundraising done by the Beardsmen, fundraising done by FTFE or Team or anybody. So they're going to make a decision based on what's happened. They're going to be like, I don't know that I can help anybody. So you owe it to those people. You owe it to the people that gave you money. It's not a thing where when somebody donates money that you have to always prove where every penny went. But when you're talking a huge amount of money and a lot of people asking a lot of questions as to where that money is, then I think you really do need to provide that information. I think that's the best thing that you can do. You also owe it to the creators who put their neck on the line for you. FTFE, Team, Reds and others, they put their neck on the line. They went out of their way. They gathered a lot of money for you. You owe it to them. Now, I know there's a lot of division in the community over this whole thing right now. I know, there's division with Team, FTFE, Reds, and the community at large over what side they're going to take. It breaks my heart that sides need to be taken again. This could have been resolved a long, long time ago, and the only one that could resolve it is you. I'm not going to level blame at Reds or FTFE or Team. I'm going to ask you, why have you not provided this information? I've heard the excuses, don't get me wrong. The excuse that your bank account was closed down. Sorry, that's bullshit. Then apparently it was paid by a check or a money order. What is it? Which one is it? That's the first thing. The second thing is you can just contact the bank. They have to hold on to your records. You just contact them and ask them for your documentation. When I moved to Australia 5 years ago, I closed down my banks in Ireland. About a year ago, for a business I was involved in, I had to provide my bank statements going back 10 years. I just waited because of the time difference till the middle of the night, and I rang the bank back home and they provided me that information. And that's Ireland, where the bureaucracy can be pretty thick to get through sometimes. So it shouldn't be that hard. The other option is just simply reach out to the property agent and ask them for the documentation. Now, my understanding is that you said that that's not possible because somebody pretended to be you. I'm sure there's some way around it. You're a very smart man. I'm certain you can figure out how to get a hold of that information. So you owe it to the community at large, and you definitely owe it to those people that put their necks out on the line for you. Now, some people say that Reds shouldn't still be putting his neck out on the line for you. That may be true. I don't have an opinion one way or the other on that. Maybe he's just trying to step back from the drama and trying to get to the bottom of it. I don't know. It's not for me to say. It's for you, however, to go out there and make this right. You owe everybody an explanation. You're going to have a massive effect on this community going forward. Your actions have already created massive division in this community. I have never really had an interaction with you, bar maybe once ever on FTFE's stream or something like that when I was on. And I've never had an issue with you before. I've got no personal problem with you. But now we all have a problem, because this is going to have a huge effect on future fundraisers that may be run. And this community has always been really good at raising funds. But now people are going to have questions in their mind. Is this money going to go where I need it to go? Is this money going to go to the person it's meant to go to? Is it going to be misappropriated? Or worst of all, am I going to be lied to? If I had given you money and you turned around and you said to me, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't use the money for what I was supposed to use it for. I fucked up. Forgive me. Then I would. I would respect that honesty. And I call upon you to be honest. Come out and tell us where the money went. If you can't get the documentation, if you can't prove it, and you want to admit that you did something wrong, that you misappropriated that money, then fine. Just be honest. This community is very forgiving. And I think people would forgive you. Some never will. That goes without saying. And I think some have already decided that they wouldn't forgive you either way because you've not provided any information and you're being cagey about it. I'm not saying that you did anything wrong. I am not saying for certain because I haven't seen all the evidence. So I can't say for certain that you've done anything wrong. But this is fishy. And everybody sees it. Bar maybe a few. And that's fine. So I'm not going to go out there and call out FTFE or Reds to come out against you. I'm not going to call anybody to come out against you. I'm calling out you because you're the only one that can answer these questions. You're the only one that can put this all to bed once and for all. Don't run away from the internet or whatever it is you said. Come out and tell us what happened. Even if you fucked up, just be honest. That's all anybody is asking for. Be honest. Be truthful. And show the community that you respect them. Because right now, this dead silence that we're getting is showing everybody that you have nothing but a lack of respect for them. Anyway, lads and lassies, as I said, I did not want to make this video. I really didn't want to get involved, but sitting back and reading some of the comments and you know, listening to Johnny O's video last night made me think I've got to say my piece on this again because it's about time that everybody got an answer. Anyway, lads and lassies, thank you so much. I want you all to know that I love you all. I really do appreciate this community. You mean the world to me. It's been a year now that I've been doing videos on this channel. Hopefully we're about to get monetized back over in the other channel. Link in the description down below. If you want to support my other videos, on my other channel I'm doing a lot of car and stuff and things. They're really, really funny, so go check them out. Of course, you could become a Patreon or leave a super chat on PayPal. But in the meantime, lads and lassies, we'll catch you here probably tomorrow, the day after, for another video on this channel. I'm going to start re-uploading on this channel again, and we'll be doing daily stuff on the other channel. So thank you, lads and lassies. And Shawn, please, just come out, be honest, man. It's the old adage, honesty is the best policy. Just be honest, bro. Lads and lassies, Gurv Mila Mahagud, Sláinte.